Close your eyes for a second. Even in the quietest room in your house, you're not really hearing silence. There's the hum of your fridge, a car passing 3 streets over, the buzz of a charger in the wall. Human noise has wrapped itself around the entire planet, and it never really turns off. But rewind the clock 100,000 years. No engines, no phones, no cities, just Earth, raw and unfiltered. So what did our planet actually sound like before we showed up? Today, we're traveling back before agriculture, before cities, before most of human history even began, to find out what filled the silence. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll never hear quiet the same way again.
To understand the ancient world, we first have to mute the modern one. Scientists who study natural sound have a name for human-made noise: anthrophony. That's everything from airplanes and cargo ships to leaf blowers and footsteps on pavement. Today, anthrophony reaches almost every corner of the globe. Even deep in the Amazon rainforest or out on the frozen peaks of Antarctica, researchers struggle to record even 15 minutes uninterrupted without some man-made sound sneaking in. Now imagine wiping all of that away completely. You might expect an eerie hush to take its place, but ancient Earth was anything but quiet. It was dominated by something called geophony, the raw physical sounds of a planet with nothing to soften them. Here's the part most people don't picture. There was no concrete, no highways, no buildings to block the wind, so air didn't just breeze past, it swept across open grasslands and ancient forests at real speed, unbroken for hundreds of miles. That created a deep, rolling roar that could travel across entire continents. Not a gentle breeze, a low, constant howl that never really stopped. Add to that the creak and groan of old-growth forests, trees 1,000 years old, swaying and grinding against each other in the wind, some of them cracking and falling without a single person around to hear it. Ancient Earth wasn't silent. It was loud in a completely different language, one made of wind, wood, and open space instead of engines and machines.
Once you get past the roaring wind, the real orchestra begins, and it was enormous, literally. This is biophony, the sound made by living things, and thousands of years ago, biophony operated on a completely different scale because the animals themselves were so much bigger. Picture standing in North America 50,000 years ago. You wouldn't just hear a trumpeting sound like a modern elephant, you'd feel it. Mammoths and mastodons communicated using extremely low-frequency rumbles, sounds so deep some dip below 20 Hz at the very edge of human hearing. You might not even register it as a sound at first. You feel it as a vibration in your chest, through the ground, from miles away, before you ever saw the animal making it. Now walk into the forest and the insect noise alone would be almost deafening. Today, pesticides, habitat loss, and city lights have wiped out huge numbers of insects, something researchers half-jokingly call the windshield phenomenon, because your car windshield used to get covered in bugs on a long drive, and now it barely does. But 100,000 years ago, ancient cicadas, crickets, and prehistoric beetles filled the night with a dense, buzzing wall of sound that genuinely never turned off. And if you walked toward the coast, the ocean was a completely different world. Today's oceans are filled with the constant drone of container ships, sonar pings, and drilling equipment, drowning out marine life. Before any of that existed, the ocean was close to a perfect acoustic theater. Humpback and blue whale songs could travel across entire ocean basins, thousands of miles, almost uninterrupted. A single whale singing in the middle of the Atlantic could, in theory, be heard by another whale all the way off the coast of Africa. We think of the ancient world as empty. Acoustically, it was the opposite. It was full, just at frequencies and distances we've since paved and drowned out.
Beyond the animals, the planet itself was louder and far more violent than the calm world we live in now. We happen to live in an unusually stable geological period, but during the ice ages, Earth's engine was running hot. Start with glaciers. People imagine glaciers as silent frozen blocks, but they're actually massive rivers of moving ice. As multi-kilometer thick ice sheets crept across North America and Europe, they produced constant cracking and grinding, something scientists call ice calving and glacial grinding. A glacier cracking sounds like sudden, sharp artillery fire, and underneath that, a low, groaning rumble as tons of ice slowly ground solid bedrock into fine dust for years at a time without stopping.
Then there were the supervolcanoes. When the Toba supereruption happened roughly 74,000 years ago in what's now Sumatra, it sent shockwaves that likely circled the entire planet more than once. Near the eruption, the sound would have been catastrophic, but even thousands of miles away, early humans would have heard a deep, unexplained thunder rolling through a completely clear sky. No storm clouds, no warning, just an impossible sound with no visible source. Even rain sounded completely different. Today, cities absorb rainfall into concrete and storm drains, muting it fast. In an untouched world, rain fell across millions of square miles of thick forest canopy, deep moss and open lakes, creating a rich, layered kind of white noise that could blanket entire continents for days without a single break. Earth wasn't a passive backdrop back then. It was actively performing, cracking, grinding, thundering, and pouring, all without anyone pressing a single button.
For billions of years, Earth had plenty of sound, but zero voices. It was a world of clicks, roars, splashes, and grunts, until one evolutionary breakthrough changed everything: a proper vocal organ. Birds got there first. After surviving the mass extinction 66 million years ago, birds evolved something called the syrinx, a specialized vocal organ at the base of the windpipe. Unlike human vocal cords, the syrinx lets birds produce two separate notes at the same time. That means the prehistoric dawn chorus wasn't just loud, it was layered, with millions of birds stacking harmonies on top of each other, long before any human ever made a single sound on purpose. Then, somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago, a brand new sound entered the picture: the early human voice. As Homo sapiens evolved, our hyoid bone dropped lower in the throat, opening up more space in the airway. It was a double-edged trade. It made choking more likely, but it also gave us the ability to shape air into precise vowel and consonant sounds, something almost no other animal on Earth can do. Early human speech almost certainly didn't start as language. It probably began as exaggerated melodic calls, imitations of animal sounds, and emotional signals, loud enough to cut through thick jungle or carry across wide-open savanna to someone standing far away. For the very first time, Earth had a voice that wasn't just reacting to danger or calling for a mate. It was starting, slowly, clumsily, to mean something.
Voice was only the beginning. Once early humans started shaping the world around them, even just a little, a brand new category of sound entered Earth's soundscape, the very first man-made noise. Fire was probably the very first one. Long before crackling campfires became something cozy, that same crackle and pop would have been one of the strangest sounds on the planet, a completely new noise nothing else in nature made. Early groups likely huddled close, not just for warmth, but because the sound itself signaled safety. Then came stone tools. The sharp, rhythmic clack of one rock striking another, called napping, to shape a blade or an axe head would have echoed through camps for hours at a time. It's a small sound by itself, but multiplied across a group day after day, and it becomes one of the very first recognizable human industries of noise. And finally, footsteps. Not the soft padding of animal paws, but the rhythmic, upright, two-legged walk of early humans moving across dry grass, gravel, and forest floor. To every other animal nearby, it was a brand new sound signature entering their world for the very first time, the sound of a new kind of predator, and eventually a new kind of neighbor. None of these sounds were loud on their own, but they were the first threads of something enormous, the beginning of the exact same soundscape that now, 100,000 years later, has completely taken over the planet. The hum in your fridge, the traffic outside your window, it all traces back to a spark of fire and two rocks striking together in the dark.
So the next time you complain about a noisy street or a buzzing fridge, remember, Earth was never actually silent. It just spoke a different language before we arrived. Wind instead of engines, mammoths instead of traffic, whale song instead of ship engines. We didn't invent noise, we just replaced one soundscape with another. If you enjoyed traveling back to a world before us, hit subscribe, because next time we're going even further back to find out what it actually sounded like the moment the very first humans learned to speak.